Hello everybody, how are you? I hope everything is fine. Well, today's lesson is about adjectives in English. You know that adjectives are very frequent, very common in everyday conversation, and whenever you're using the language, any language, adjectives are very important. Sometimes you're gonna use adjectives. You wanna show that someone or something is better or worse, okay? You are gonna compare two things through an adjective. This is called a comparative adjective. So you're comparing one thing or one person to another thing or another person. It is very easy how to make comparative adjectives in English, okay? You have to just pay attention to the length of your word. If it is one syllable, just add er to your adjective. For instance, you have tall, taller. My brother is taller than me, okay? Fat, fatter. If you have two or more syllables in your adjective, like for instance expensive, beautiful, intelligent, okay, then you don't say he is intelligent. You see, it's not possible to say that, okay? So you cannot add er. Instead, you bring the word more before your adjective. So you say, for instance, she is more beautiful than her sister. That teacher is more intelligent than the other person, etc., etc. Okay, so you bring more before your adjective. There is one exception here. If your adjective has two syllables and it ends in y, then when you want to make the comparative, you turn y to I and add er. For instance, you say happy, happier. I am happy, she's happier than me. Okay, so that is a comparative adjective. I'm gonna show you the same formula, okay, applies quite easily with some slides right now. For comparative adjectives, as I mentioned, we have adjective and the rule. I give you the rule and the example. One example. So we have, if it is one syllable, you just add er at the end of your adjective. For instance, you say tall, taller. Then if you have two or more syllables, then bring more before adjective, like beautiful, more beautiful. And then if you have an adjective two syllable ending in y, just change y to I and add er, like happy, happier. Very well. Another form of this kind of comparison is that you are comparing not just one with one, you're comparing one with more than one entity, like a person or things. You will say, okay, so this car is expensive, this car is more expensive than the other one, this car is the most expensive in the city. So you're comparing one thing with more than one, then it is called a superlative adjective. Somehow you're showing that one thing has superiority over others. The formula is very similar to comparative adjectives, okay? Over there you had er or more. Here you have est and most. Again, you have to pay attention to the number of syllables. If it is just one syllable, you add est. For instance, you say tall, he is tall, he is the tallest student in the class. The tallest student in the class. If your adjective is more than two syllables, two and more than two syllables, you add most before your adjective. So you say this car is expensive. This car is the most expensive car in this city, okay? Or this house is the most luxurious house in the city. I'll show you the formula with some slides like this. Okay, and then for superlative adjectives, again, I give you the adjective, the rule, and one example. So if again, one syllable, you add est to your adjective, like tall would be tallest, or you said the tallest. And then if it is two or more syllables, you add most plus adjective, like beautiful, most beautiful, or the most beautiful. And then if you have a two-syllable adjective ending in y, then change y to I and add est, like happy, happiest, the happiest. All right. There is a third type of adjectives, and it's called equality it shows equality. What does it mean? It means that, for instance, you would say, okay, my car is expensive, your car is expensive, but they are equal. As expensive as your car. So you bring as before your adjective, another as, and then it means that the things here, the thing here, and the thing here, they are the same. So he is tall, I am tall, I am as tall as he is. Okay, something like that. This adjective is also used in English a lot. I'm going to give you some examples for comparative, superlative, and equal adjectives. Okay, I'm not going to read them, they're very simple, but I just want to give you as many examples as possible. Now that we talked about adjectives, different types of adjectives, let's touch on another subject which is quite similar, and that is adverb. You know that adjectives explain about nouns and adverbs explain about verbs or actions. So it's very interesting that you can have almost the same formulae applied for different types of adverbs. It means that you can have comparative and superlative adverbs as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to read some examples, first with just one adjective, and then a comparative adjective, and then superlative adjective, and then I'm going to use them in some adverb forms. Sometimes it's not possible to make the superlative, okay? Superlative adverb in a way, okay? But most of the time they are almost the same. So all the formula, or the plural form of formula can be formulas or formulae, okay, whichever you like, can be applied here as well. Okay, so we have adjective and adverb, and then comparative or superlative examples. Sometimes they are not both of them, okay? Depends on what kind of adjective or adverb we are going to use. All right, let's go. So she's fast. This is a simple adjective, and then you can say she's faster than me. And then for superlative, you say she is the fastest runner. And if you turn it to an adverb, she runs fast. She runs faster than me. She runs the fastest. Okay, so most of the time you can use the same adjective in the form of an adverb. Most of the time. He is a hard worker. He's harder to please. He works hard. He works harder than before. This question is easy. It is easier than the last one. It is the easiest. She learns easily. She learns more easily than others. She learns the most easily. She's careful. She's more careful than I am. She drives carefully. She drives more carefully than I do. He's quick. He's quicker than his teammate. He speaks quickly. Speaks more quickly than I expected. The soup is good. It is better than yesterday's. It is the best. So now you can see that this is an exception. For good, we don't have good there. Okay, so we say better. For comparative and for superlative, you say the best. So good, better, the best. And then you have bad, worse, the worst. Okay, these are exceptions. He cooks well. He cooks, and then for the adverb good turns into well. So he cooks better than me. He cooks the best. The comparative and superlative, they are the same. He's a bad driver. He's worse than before. He drives badly. He drives worse than his brother. And of course, you can add, he's the worst driver I've ever seen. Okay. She's late. She's later than usual. She arrived late. She arrived later than we expected. It is a high wall. It is higher than that one. It is the highest. The bird flew high. It flew higher than the plane. It flew the highest. It is a low price. It is lower than last week's. He bowed low. He bowed lower than the others. You know what bow means? And I draw your attention. I have made a video about some political issue in Iran, and the title is To Bow or Not to Bow. I recommend you watch it. Then we have the test was difficult. It was more difficult than before. He solved it difficultly. He solved it with more difficulty. This is an exception. Okay, so we use it like this. It's as if it's an idiomatic expression. It is a happy ending. It is happier than we hoped. She smiled happily. She smiled more happily than ever. She is a quiet student. She is quieter than her classmates. She speaks quietly. She speaks more quietly than others. It is easy to use. It is easier than that one. It works easily. It works more easily than others. He is a loud singer. He is louder than the others. He sings loudly. He sings more loudly than usual. Then she's lazy. She's lazier than before. She works lazily. She works more lazily than her peers. He's a polite boy. He's more polite than his brother. He speaks politely. He speaks more politely than others. This is a beautiful song. It is more beautiful than that one. She sings beautifully. She sings more beautifully than anyone else. It is a bad situation. It is worse than yesterday. He behaved badly. He behaved worse than ever. It is a far place. It is farther or further than Rome. And this is for far, for we say the comparative is either farther or further. Okay, and the superlative is the farthest or the furthest. Okay, so these are also exceptions. He ran far, he ran farther or further than anyone else. So the adverb form is also the same. Okay, so it is irregular, it is exception. All right. I hope you have learned how these two forms of adjective and verb in comparative and superlative formats, how they shape. Okay, just practice and then you'll be happy. The rules in English, they're just reoccurring. So, you know, one particular rule, and then with maybe a little modification you can apply it in other areas, in other places. Okay, so please be aware of these similarities. Just one more thing. Sometimes I've seen in the classes that students use much instead of more. It's not correct. Okay, so you say more beautiful. She is more beautiful than her sister. She sings more beautifully than her sister. Sometimes, yeah, you can use much, but it is in order to intensify. So you can say, for instance, he's handsome. He's more handsome. He's much more handsome. Okay, it means you're just emphasizing that trait. that quality. Okay, so you can add, in a way, you can add the word much to the beginning of any of the formulae that we discussed today. It cannot replace them. It just comes before them in order to intensify, to make them bigger, to make them more important. Okay, so his car is more expensive than mine. His car is much more expensive than mine. Okay, means a lot more expensive. Okay, so that is in a way you are intensifying, you are emphasizing that difference. Okay, now is the time for Imam of the Best examples. Okay, in this lesson we had comparative, superlative, and equal, as. So I'm going to make one example for each. Okay, so for the first one, which is a comparative, I say Hashemi is Aftabe. You know that Hashemi was a very, very powerful person, okay, during Khomeini, and of course decades, 2 decades after him. Okay, Hashemi, number 2 or number 3 in the whole system, that devilish system. Anyhow, Hashemi's Aftabe collection was more luxurious than Khomeini's. And then we have another one, which is a superlative adjective. I say Khomeini once completed the most complex Aftabe jigsaw puzzle in history. Even not comparable to other jigsaw puzzles, the most difficult one. And then for the equal adjective or equal adverb, we have as. I can say Khomeini's cast iron Aftabe is not as long as his copper one. So as you can see here, we can use the negative form. For any positive form in English, you can have a negative, and I've used a negative one here. Let me repeat it. Khomeini's cast iron Aftabe is not as large as his copper one. It means the copper one is bigger. I hope you liked today's lesson. As always, I'm going to give you a brief summary of what we touched today, and I hope you will practice and make perfect. All right, so much so good with today's lesson. See you next time. Until then, goodbye.